Hello and good afternoon. This is Troy Tessmer with Soul Mobility, and I'm joined by our founder and innovator, Todd Hargroder. And today we're going to be going over Series 2 of Going Beyond the Power, Wheelchair Power Assist, and the Power Flex. We did a Series 1 that had a really nice overview of Todd, his background, how we came about in developing the Power Flex, and some of its basic features. So if you missed that, please go back, catch that first webinar. It's only a quick 20-minute watch, and we're going to hit a couple of the key slides from that as well. And then we're going to do a deep dive into the Power Flex here. So in review, what we're talking about here is really a new category of power assist. And we're not even going to refer to this as power assist, but a power drive attachment, because it's really providing veterans compact power and so much more, with the ability to transform your manual chair to power in under 30 seconds and giving you true power chair performance in a compact package, intuitive joystick controls, superior indoor and outdoor performance, with two really key features we're going to talk today more about, and that's user activated manual tilt and the suspension system. So in the last webinar, we did talk about all three major categories of power assist and what some of the pros and cons of them are. Lots of technology in this area, a lot of really great innovation that we all love to see. From hub wheels to push devices. But the key to those that we talked about is they really only provide straight line propulsion. You're still steering, you're still using both your hands, you're still braking, and you're still in a manual chair with a high center of gravity. And they don't work necessarily on all terrains that great, or maybe in compact, tight, busy spaces like a restaurant or a really busy state fair, or a line at the zoo. So we talked about some of those things, and then we hit on tiller and front wheels. Those are great. They're pull devices. If you have good dexterity, good ability to steer, throttle, wonderful devices for outdoors, but they extend your wheelbase, as we talked about. Not great for indoor use a lot of times. And you still have to work with the storage, taking them on and off. So what we really said last time was we know power assist is needed. For manual wheelchairs, large dedicated power chairs are disruptive to your lifestyle, and we know how hard pushing is if you're not on perfectly flat ground. And it's even harder on the body, and Todd talked a lot about that. So our current power assist attempts to bridge that gap and help people out, but it doesn't really do it on a lot of fronts. And that's why we developed the Power Flex, which we feel really bridges that gap between the lightweight manual and a large 300 to 400 pound dedicated power chair that so many people just never want to move into. So that's the quick recap. What we want to talk a little bit more today is from the clinical aspect of when we're looking at power assist for a veteran, how to choose that right device. And are we looking at improving mobility, really eliminating or reducing upper extremity strain and long-term function, or is it just more independence and more inclusion? So what we kind of broke down is like, what are the goals and the need of the person you're working with? Is it really just to reduce push effort and frequency? Or is it more like fatigue, pain, shoulder preservation at the end of the day or during the day? They just kind of run out of juice and need more? Or are we trying to prevent long-term shoulder preservation so we're not going to surgery? We never have the repetitive stress. We never have shoulder failure. And then, what are they struggling with? Is it, distances outside, indoor, daily living, doing laundry, taking the garbage out, things like that? So what are their needs? And we know it's a balancing act. From upper extremity function to hand function and dexterity, as we get into different types of disability, different levels of spinal cord injury, we know how much hand function and dexterity can cause certain power assists to be very difficult to use, whether it's small buttons or a tiller drive where you need to have your arms up front. Um, and then there's also that mental aspect of constantly being aware of slowing down, speeding up, turning with some of these power assist devices that are out there that aren't joystick control and really intuitive. We also talk about postural stability and seating. Todd talked a lot how critical having a stable base is for transfers. And when you have a power like chair device where the brakes lock the second you remove from the joystick, you get that stable base that you need to do weight transfers, to reach and grab something off of a counter or up high, or to transfer into your car seat or bed or wherever you are. And then we also know like sitting tolerance and pressure management, sitting in a wheelchair all day long. We know how important pressure management is, which is why when we talk about tilt, we're going to talk a lot about how that is a benefit. And then obviously the environment, are they at home? Are they out? Are they busy? Do they like to go hiking with their families? What do they really need? And, if they're in that work environment and really need to be nimble and in tight spaces, what's going to work best for them? So it's a balancing act, but good to really work with the client and the veteran to know what is your long-term goal, what are your daily needs, and how can we help find the best solution for you. So PowerFlex, right? Providing compact power and a lot more. So we're a power drive attachment, but we also have this manual tilt system and this suspension that we showed a quick video last time about, but we're going to show that video again because it's so critical. So let me cue that up.
Manual chair connected in through the axles, it gives you the ability to wheelie over thresholds like you might normally in your manual chair. Your weight balance and your tippiness is identical to your manual chair. So you're going to float over obstacles. You're not front loading your casters, which is really critical. But being connected in through those axle receivers also gives you the ability to go into a full manual tilt, get over center, which lets you get that pressure off your sit bones from sitting all day. And you all know when you're sitting for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, getting off and pressure relieving is really critical. Also allows you to get your shoulders back, open your chest up, and just relax a little bit. And that's just a manual push of the system into that tilt. So really easy to do, really easy to set up, and allows a person to relax a little bit. As we come out of the chair, we'll talk about a few additional features. So the entire frame is on a suspension system that isolates the frame from the base and really takes out that shock and from bumps and thresholds that might come up through your spine and really cause kind of a additional stress on your body because you're not going at 1 mile an hour anymore. You're now going 3 to 5 miles an hour in a power chair. So that suspension is really critical. And we're the only power assist on the market that has suspension. And as we move further back, we're running a 5-inch standard caster on the back. However, we can drop that in with a frog legs caster into the same exact package as an optional feature. And that just allows you to take out that additional vibration as you're going over those sidewalks, cracks, and bump, bump, bump. The suspension takes out a lot, but frog legs does give you the ability to really smooth out the ride even further. One of the things you'll also notice about the system is we're running on a nice wide 10-inch drive tire. And this gives you a lot of capability to get over those terrains that you might go in a park, grass, gravel, crushed cinder, and really gives this machine a lot of capability above just your home. As we talked about, the entire system is on that suspension. And when you put the whole unit together, you have that really compact power chair.
All right. So let's talk just a little bit about of the clinical benefits of manual tilt. As we talked about, our manual tilt system is going to get you into the 30 to 45 degree range, depending on your setup, and really facilitates your pressure relief, position changes, and also helps a ton with your ability to get over thresholds or rough surfaces, if you're off road or hit a sidewalk crack that's maybe raised, you can still wheelie and get over those thresholds. So we all know, as we've been working with both power chairs and manual, that pressure relief really requires a strategy to make sure we're not getting to a situation where we're developing a pressure ulcer. And effective pressure management really requires tilt over 20 degrees, which we do have. And they recommend 1 to 2 minutes every 30 minutes. So if you're struggling to push, if your hands, wrists, shoulders, elbows are weak or maybe have pain, you're probably really struggling with your day-to-day pressure management, which is why we feel the manual tilt is so critical and such a benefit for everyone that can take advantage of this device. And did you want to add anything on that, Todd?
Yeah, I would, if you can go back to that
Yeah,
slide.
yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, manual tilt is extremely critical. As a C5-6 quad, I'm, pretty good with my transfers, but transferring in and out of bed is extremely difficult. So, I will not do it many a times that I would, I should. But with the manual tilt system, I can easily lean back while I'm on long phone calls, watching TV. It's just a very convenient way to, take a load off, as well as, what Troy mentioned earlier, being able to lean back in the chair, open up the chest and breathe and just, recenter your body in a different state of gravity is extremely important throughout our long days in the chair.
Yeah, yeah. Well said. Thank you. And then suspension. I think we underestimate how critical suspension is. When we're going 1 mile an hour in our manual chairs, we still feel the bumps and the vibrations. But remember, we have a change in modality. We're going 3 to 5 miles an hour a lot of times now. We're hitting a lot more impacts and we're hitting them with more force at times. And if you're running just like a bicycle, if you've ever ridden a bicycle with no suspension on an off-road trail, it's brutal. And it's the same in a power assist. When we start going faster and we're hitting thresholds and things with a little bit more speed, if you don't have suspension, you're going to feel it at the end of a long day. And we are the only system that puts suspension onto a power drive system for manual wheelchairs. In a group 3 power chair, it's mandatory. It's mandatory for safety, it's mandatory for drivability, and it's mandatory for that reduction of impact and vibration. So we felt it to be really important to add into this system. And I think Todd can attest to a long day of rolling multiple miles, what that suspension does for him.
Absolutely. Over the many years that I've been in a chair, close to 40 now, we've focused on our manual chairs, the rigid frames, being extremely just that, rigid. So every bit of effort that we put into propulsion goes into propulsion and not absorbed by the frame. But in doing so, that rigid frame, every bit of shock load goes up our low back and into our spine, which just increases pain, fatigue, and so forth throughout the day. So having a true suspension system that isolates even the smallest vibration and shocks makes a big difference at the end of a long 10, 12-hour day upright in a chair.
Yeah. And just to kind of reiterate that, we have just a really quick video on some suspension, of how our suspension works in actual use. Yeah, so I think that video did a nice job of just showing how much your chair with a user in it wants to move with the suspension. And if you had that completely rigid, all of that movement, all of that shock would go directly up into the person's, back and spine and body, on a second by second basis as they're moving. So really a really critical piece of hardware that's on the PowerFlex here.
And that is such a critical, look into the day of a manual chair user. with all of that vibration going up your back, through your hips, into your spine, up through your neck and so forth. So really good snapshot into what us manual wheelchair users deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. And now we have one last little video here. We have another video coming up, but I mean, we have a little video here that kind of goes into the deep dive of how to adjust the PowerFlex, some of its specs, and some of the key attributes beyond just the suspension that we talked about.
Taking it apart is as simple. You remove the back manual tilt. You pop out and quarter turn the quick release axles, and your frame comes out, allowing you to set it aside, put your wheels back on, and be in your manual configuration. We have a couple of adjustment points. So in the front, we simply have 2 nuts here that you can loosen, which allows the width to be changed, and we can adapt from a 12 to a 20-inch frame. And we do that through 3 models. We have a 12 to 14, a 15 to 17, and an 18 to 20. With that adjustment, it allows the user to be able to grow with the chair, whether it be up or down. So if you're a high school student and maybe you've grown 3-4 inches and now you're going off to college and you've gone from a 14 to a 16-inch chair, we easily can just simply swap out these 2 shafts and the entire system can grow with you, which is a great benefit of the PowerFlex to make sure it has longevity and can always work with whatever manual frame you're working with. The other 2 adjustment points we have is we talked about the height of this axle receiver. So right now we're at exactly 12 inches to mimic a 24-inch wheel, but that adjustment is simply done through 1 bolt right here, and we have 6 settings that allow this to go up and down from a 22-inch wheel to a 26-inch wheel, allowing you to dial in your dump angle exactly to your manual chair when you set this up. And then in the rear, we just have 1 single adjustment point to bring your tilt up to meet your rigidizer bar and give you that manual tilt function. If you do need to change your CG a little bit and make sure your wheels won't contact a manual to power, we do have 1 nut here that allows you to loosen this and bring this back and forth within this paddle adjuster. Once that's locked into place and your chair is going in and out, these do pivot so you can go 0 to 4 degrees of camber. But in that position, it also allows you to completely fold these down. And now this entire package is really easy and quick to put into a trunk of a car, a small SUV, and really gives us a lot of travel flexibility. The weight of the unit is about 115 pounds, so it is a 2-person lift. Or if you have a boom lift that has 150 to 200 pound capacity, you can continue to use that. Or a number of transit lifts, or I personally just use a set of wheelchair ramps to get in and out of my vehicle and drive it right up. But because of its compact size, it really opens up the amount of vehicles and the types of vehicles you can travel with. And with just a little bit of help versus a 400-pound power chair, you can travel the world. Thanks. Have a great day.
All right, so right here we're showing what typical power chair travel looks like. You have to, it requires twice as many transfers because you have to use the aisle chair, and then just because of the size of the standard power chairs, you're just so much more at risk of damage of the power chair because again the size and trying to fit them through that side cargo door of the airplane. Right here is showing you PowerFlex travel. Because of the compact size of the PowerFlex, I'm able to go on the plane, back up to that first row of seats, and then transfer over. In addition, the compact size of the chair allows it to load it up on the conveyor, and it goes right into the belly of the plane without having to turn it on its side or work it through. So, much lower risk of damage to the chair when you travel with the PowerFlex. And this next video will show that whole process of me getting on the plane as well as transferring over and the chair being loaded.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Actually, I might take this. Wait a minute, let me just unlock this. And then let me drop it.
Are you putting the wheels in neutral?
Yeah.
And the brakes on?
Taking the motor lock off. Thank you.
As you can see with that, as you saw on the video, it's just a much smoother process being able to pull up to that chair and transfer right over. Southwest Airlines loves us and loves the PowerFlex because it saves everybody time and effort on and off the planes.
Yeah, and I would say Todd's been traveling the country extensively here over the last 6 or 8 months, of getting this project going. And he's had wonderful success with very limited damage of anything. And we all hear the horror stories, of what power chair travel can be like. And I've been traveling as well, folding it down, checking it at luggage. And it's nice. It just travels really well. And that kind of leads right into, a travel friendly, opportunity with vehicles as well. So I have a Honda Pilot. I can take it, the back up, everything assembled, and just simply drive it right up a set of wheelchair ramps right into the back of my vehicle. And even with a smaller SUV or a subcompact hatchback, you can take the rear manual tilt bar off and fold that seat down, as you guys know, and it'll fit even into a smaller package. When I travel and when Todd travels, same way, if the Uber picks us up and they pull up in a sedan, we simply transfer Todd to the front seat, disconnect the chair, fold it down. We put the chair in the back seat like you would any manual chair with the wheel bag and wheels, and the PowerFlex goes in the back, folded down in any trunk. I've had Malibus, BMW 3 Series, Prius. I mean, so many vehicles pick us up, and I don't have to worry about what Uber is picking me up. And I simply ask the Uber driver for a quick lift. The two of us put it in the back, and away we go. So it's really been helpful.
Yeah, definitely so. And as if you're an experienced traveler in a chair, you will know that accessible transportation is very difficult to come by. Even when you plan ahead of time and have all your ducks in a row, you just never know who and what's going to show up. So by having the flexibility to take an accessible van and or worst case scenario, a standard vehicle, it certainly works in both situations. And by being able to take the manual frame off the base, as shown here in the right, that base can certainly fit in the trunk. We've even put it in the back seat of cars just to make it happen. So, in the real world, you have to be flexible and be able to, kind of go with the flow. And this certainly allows us to do so.
All right, I'm going to hit on 2 quick things, and then I want to make sure to leave a couple of minutes for Q&A. We're running just a tad long, but as we were going through specs, we did talk about the weight, and this comes up in a lot of discussions, and I want to just hit on why the weight is important and how we got there. And as we work with our veterans, everybody's on this mobility journey, and any change they're making right now because of their shift in ability to push is going to be a pretty significant change. And together, I think it's our job to help them out and get there. But first of all, some of the really big benefits of the weight. All of this weight is below the camber tube, which takes your center of gravity of the user and combined device and puts it really low and centered, which means you can be stable at turning at speed on side hills, on slopes. And we've had a number of therapists, and the quote I love the best is, "It feels like a magnet's pulling me to the ground. It's so stable." Some of the weight comes from batteries. We're running standard sealed, non-spillable lead acid batteries. So why did we do that and not go lithium ion? Lead acid's easy and cost effective to replace. It has a reliable battery gauge and fuel tank and won't just stop instantly on you. And it's airline travel friendly. All you have to do is tell them that they're sealed non-spillable. They check the box and there's no more questions asked. And our motors are gear driven. We're not running brushless motors. They're durable, they're reliable, they're proven. And when you're in the device and trialing it, I think you'll really see that. Plus, we have those large 10-inch, wide foam-filled tires. So no flats, great traction on hills and terrains. And that little bit of extra weight is going to make sure you have traction on hills, grass, or even slippery terrains. So how do we then deal with that weight, right? I like to say we're lightweight, right? We're not 300 to 400 pounds, and we're still helping everybody on that journey. So if you're struggling with, efficient, pain-free propulsion, and you've tried other power assists and you need and want more, mentally, and we talked about this last time, people don't want to go to a large dedicated power chair. So the option is, let's help them figure out this gap. Let's put them in a PowerFlex. And if we need to help them with a lift, maybe a 2-point lift system, a boom, a transit, or just help them brainstorm and show them some of these options, it's not as bad as people think it is. And we are not 300 to 400. If you're a large power chair, you're not doing any of these things. So with PowerFlex, yep, you might have some changes to your mobility. However, there's a lot more options for loading and handling. A simple ramp, existing lifts, as compact spies we talked about with small SUVs and hatchbacks. It's 2-person lift capable. I can grab anybody and we're going to get this thing where it needs to go. And we are working with both Harmar and Bruno, and we're in their approved systems. So if you need to look at a compatibility tracker, you can go on their sites and find it. So,
and for me, it's as a manual wheelchair user, it has been much more than just getting from A to B. That transition from manual to power is much more than just getting from point A to point B. It's all the other things that go into it. Having to change my home environment, my work environment, my play environment, because I would go from a small manual chair package footprint to a much larger, higher seating elevation. So this really bridges that gap between our manual and power chairs, and it has extended my ability to do more throughout my days.
All right, so we hit this recap last time. I'm going to hit it again. Why is it great for veterans? We've talked about a lot of this, but it's that power chair-like performance in a compact package. Less disruptive to your personal life. Mentally, we just talked about wired joystick is easy to use everywhere. And we have that frame isolating suspension, manual tilt, and all of those together promote activity, social engagement, inclusion, and getting out there to do more. So it's the hybrid alternative for both newly injured and existing manual wheelchairs. Preserve your shoulders, help out with pain, have a powered option when you're sore, fatigued, and need rest, and it maintains your manual wheelchair performance when it's not in the base. No adapters, no special wheels. It's a hybrid solution for everybody.
And that hybrid solution for the newly injured, that's a very important key point for us newly injured that can't push today, but given the opportunity, they can push down the road. And I, strongly promote pushing as much as possible, but I like to say push when you want and go power when you need. So by having the PowerFlex married up to your favorite manual frame, you truly get the best of both worlds, the best of the manual and the best of the power.
So here are online resources. You can certainly go to soulmobility.com, see videos, get a brochure, order forms, all of that is there. We also have a youtube.com soulmobility with more videos, some of the stuff you saw today, and we'll continue to upload webinars and webcasts and these short videos as well. So we encourage you, book a demo, contact us. Let's get you in contact with our local independent sales rep. And let's get a demo and an eval set up for those veterans that are struggling. And with that, we'll go to a little bit of Q&A. So use the Q&A feature. We are going to attempt to do a webinar series 3. We'll hit just a couple highlights. It'll be a pretty short session on the ultimate hybrid solution, demos, ordering, key options we'll talk about. And then I'm hoping we possibly maybe can pull together a little bit of a user panel discussion and have a few people that have been using this out in the field, out in real life for 3, 4, 6 months, come and talk about how their life has adapted, how it's changed, and how they're utilizing it. All right, do we have any Q&A at this point? All right, I think we hit everything pretty thorough. I'm going to end us on one last little video here, kind of showing some of the accessibility. It's Todd out at the beach, nice hard packed sand. Because we're not 400 pounds, he's able to go out on the beach. It doesn't mean you can go on any beach. This is a hard packed beach, you know, but it has that versatility. So I'm going to play this and then we'll wrap it up. I did see 2 questions. One, how does it perform on different types of terrain? It actually performs quite well. Like you can go off-road, park, grass, crushed cinder, gravel. You're going to struggle, you know, potentially in snow. You're going to struggle in soft sand. You know, we're still running casters. We still have weight, but it's going to get through a lot of those. At ISS, we were going through an obstacle course of wood chips, large gravel, large river stone, and we were the only power assist device that was going through those things at ISS. So it handles quite well. And with the suspension, when you're in those parks and grassy areas, they're not smooth, but it smooths it out a ton.
And in addition, with us connecting through our camber tube receiver and not front loading the casters, we're able to lean back and even, you know, you can lean back like you would in a manual chair and wheelie over the different things, but lean back and offload the front casters, which allows you to make it through those softer, more rough terrains even easier.
Yeah. And then the second question I saw was weight capacity. So we are spec'd to match the manual chair manufacturer's weight capacity, which for most rigid frame active chairs is 275 pounds. So that's a 275 pound person. Plus the chair is what we're tested and approved for through FDA testing and regulation. So, all right. Hey, I thank everybody for their time. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Talk with your veterans, talk with the people out there that are pushing, and even those that aren't struggling to push and are not in pain should be looking at alternate power assist to take a little fatigue and take a little stress off day to day. We want people to push, but we also want people to preserve their shoulders. And as I say, on a 90-degree day, walking through the zoo, get off the struggle bus. Let one hand be free, enjoy your family, and just take a load off for the day. It doesn't have to be every day, but power assist can go a long way in prolonging your ability to push even longer. So, anything else, Todd?
No, I mean, that's very well said. I mean, again, push when you want, go power when you need, extend that distance. enjoy the summer, be able to get out with your friends, family, and do the things you want without having to add one more thing of, can I make it? Can I keep up? So, this device, all these power assist wheelchairs, power wheelchairs, it's not a one size fits all. This is another tool for your toolbox and to just help somebody, keep going. So again, appreciate your time and we look forward to talking more.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day and a great weekend as well. Thank you.